Hey guys, it's Loaf, back with some more Last Epoch content as we prep for the upcoming season on April 17th. With tons of new uniques, idols, champion mods, and new endgame crafting systems, I'm going to be theory crafting as many builds as I can for the community to give you some direction on possible new builds. This should give the community a lot more options of fun new ideas to play on this season and allow you to generate loot filters from the planner in the description. That way, even if there isn't a guide for the playstyle that you want, you'll have some kind of reference to go off of. I'll be doing all of these theory crafts live on my stream up until the season launch. So if there's a certain build archetype that you want to see, make sure to drop by the Twitch channel and we'll see if we can help you out at twitch.tv/pinchingloaf. One thing I would like to call out with this new series and dealing with all of the theory crafts for this upcoming week is these are not going to be as in-depth as my normal build guides are. I'm not going to be going through every single node and every single piece of gear. I'm going to go over some key functionalities and what's making the build function. And then if there's any questions you guys have, let me know in the comments, or if there's maybe a different direction that you think might be even better, make sure to let me know. That way we can make some adjustments and make the builds better and better. And then as we get closer to the actual launch, I'll probably pick a couple of the builds that I'm really passionate about and that I might be considered starting for my own character. And I will make a full in-depth guide that you're used to seeing on my channel and go from there. Alrighty guys, for the first theory craft build that I really wanted to showcase, where there is an incredibly broken interaction that hopefully makes it through to the final patch day, is Shield Throw Forge Guard. So Shield Throw Forge Guard is going to be centering around the Stygian's reprisal unique shield. The shield's been around in the game for quite a while. And basically how it works is you get +1 flat throwing damage for shield throw per 10 flat damage reflected to attackers. The big problem with this shield in the past is you could never get enough damage reflected to attackers to really give you any kind of meaningful flat damage to build around the character. So it's kind of just been a shield that everybody forgot about once it got released. But there has been some new changes that is making this shield skyrocket in value here with this upcoming new season, giving us ludicrous amounts of flat damage. So what we're going to be comboing it with here, you can obviously get flat damage to attackers slammed onto the shield itself. So that's a T6 mod that I'm showing in the planner. You can also get it put onto your chest armor. But the big part that changes everything this season are these new Weaver idols. One of the mods that you can get on the 1x1 idols is going to give you 50 to 150 flat damage reflected to attackers. What this is going to end up doing with it averaging out the 50 to 150 mod on all of these idols, if you go over here, we're at 3,400 damage to dealt to attackers. So what that's going to end up being is 341 flat damage from nothing but a shield, a chest armor, and a bunch of idols. Now, this can obviously be a little bit tedious to try to acquire early on in the league. However, just a handful of these would make the build really start to pop off. So this is something where I'd probably start leveling as a hammered in Forge Guard. And then once I got the shield and maybe like 3 or 4 of these idols, I'd probably just start transitioning and letting the build really take off. The other uniques in the build that I'm using is the Monument of Protection. This will give us some block and block effectiveness synergies when we get into our shield throw skill. And then I just threw on a Code of the Erased. Neither of these uniques are mandatory. The only one I would say is mandatory for the build is the shield here, and then a couple of these idols to really make it start popping. Everything else I put on super budget gear with a single T6 modifier. With the new Weaver's Tree, a lot of this gear is going to be very trivial. We should be able to get to insane new levels of gear that we've never been able to get to before. So I think this is very, very budget friendly. Okay, next up, I want to go over a couple of the key interactions for the various skills that we're going to be using for this theory craft. I'm not going to go through every individual node like I would normally do, as I just kind of want this to be a quick recap so I can get these out as quickly as possible. So with shield throw, The main nodes that we're going to be focusing on is getting as many ricochets as possible. So you've got ricochet here, and then you've got Hemren's technique right here. This is going to allow us to have a lot more clear with shield throw. And then through some tech with one of our other abilities, it will also help out with our single target. We'll get all the leech we need from Vampiric Steel right here, so you don't have to really invest a lot into any kind of regen. We're getting a bunch of base crit, because crit damage is going to be really nice with how much flat damage we're able to acquire with this build. We're able to get a whole bunch of free crit multi by just building into our defenses and going block effectiveness, as well as getting a more damage multiplier based on our block chance. Eventually, when you were a very well-geared character, you could consider grabbing Rygar's Fury. However, that minus 20 all res is pretty rough early on. So that's going to be when you have, multiple double exalted pieces of gear and your res is really cushy. Then you could think about swapping over to this. I am going for a fire conversion, mainly because of the Molten Toss nodes. Because we're getting so much flat damage, the main thing we're looking for now is just getting some throwing attack speed, percentile damage, and more damage multipliers. And this just gives us the most amount of more damage multiplier in the tree, just to help amp up all that flat damage that we're getting. Now, the amount of levels that you're going to have in shield throw is going to depend on your chest armor and the shield unique that you're using, depending on how many levels are on there. If you are to take out any levels, you're just going to take out this fire section here and just focus on everything else first. The second part of the synergy is Ring of Shields. What Ring of Shields does is it creates a whole bunch of shields that kind of orbit around you. These shields count as allies, and with 1 point into Still Defender, your shield throw can actually target allies. That way, even if there's only one target, such as a big boss, you can actually ricochet your shield throw off of your Ring of Shields to allow you to get a lot more hits per cast of shield throw. So our main focus here is just to make them tanky so they don't die. So we're getting all the extra health. In Fizz Res, we're adding extra shields, as this will actually give us some more buffs depending on how many shields we have. And then we're going into this heal mode, which allows these shields to auto heal nearby allies, including you and the other shields. But it also is going to give you a massive block effectiveness buff whenever they heal. And then for the last nodes, we're just grabbing a couple duration nodes to make them last a little bit longer. These shields will also be auto-procced by one of the passives we'll go into here in a second. Third skill, we're using Sigils of Hope. These are auto-generated now, so you don't have to do anything. They'll just start auto-procking and giving you passive buffs. So we're going into grabbing all of the +1 maximum symbols, so that way we're getting more buffs from them. And then we're adding the block chance and block effectiveness, as this also gives us damage and shield throw per sigil we have. And then the final points, we're grabbing the percentile damage and crit chance per sigil that we have. Volatile Reversal is one of the new skills that got completely reworked. It used to be more of a buff skill back in the day that every single build used and built out the same exact way. Now it's actually a teleport type ability that can also give you some different utility. So this will be our main movement skill for the character. You're going to focus on getting some nice cooldown recovery speed, increasing the chance or the duration of when you can use the second part of the combo ability. So how it works by default is the first time you click it, you can jump forward and kind of do a blink or a teleport type ability. And then if you click it again for a certain duration, it will actually send you back to where you were at. So we want to increase the duration at which you can go backwards in time, even though we're never going to actually click the backwards in time button. The reason why is we're going to take this node right here, Warp Time, when you have the ability to go backward in time, but you haven't actually clicked it, it's going to give you Frenzy. So we're just going to teleport forward, and then while it's going through that other duration, it's just going to give us a permanent Frenzy. And then we also have the nodes Phase Reality that are going to give us our armor mitigation applied to damage over time, while we can still jump backwards in time. So it sounds complex, but it's actually really simple in nature. You just click it once on teleport, you wait till the ability starts going on cooldown, and then once it lets you jump forward again, you can use the teleport again. Now, there isn't really a great other skill that I could really see to utilize with this build that would synergize with everything. So I opted to throw in Healing Hands. The reason why is we can auto-proc it with a melee hit. And Volatile Reversal actually applies a melee hit when you blink over to a target. So just try to make sure you're teleporting on top of a target. It'll proc the melee hit, which will proc healing hands. And then the main reason that we're using it is for these two nodes here. So Halted Scourge will give you minus 10% void damage taken and minus 10% necrotic damage taken. We just want to get as much damage reduction as we can on this character. And then on top of that, we just kind of reduce the mana cost just to make it cost basically nothing. And then it gives us a nice little heal. So every time we use a teleport, we're basically getting a big free heal just to make sure we're keeping our life topped off. But if you guys have a better idea for a final skill, I would be really open to utilizing anything else there if you feel like it can benefit us more than just giving us the 10% damage reduction there. Alrighty, guys. Going quickly over the passive tree. Early on, I'm going to grab Juggernaut. The res is really nice, and the strength will give us a little bit of a damage multi on the shield throw. We're going to go for basically every block chance and block effectiveness node that we can find. So we'll grab Stalwart here for the 3% block chance. The damage reduction here from Armor Clad. And then just a little bit of cooldown recovery speed for movement skills. Next, we'll be going into the Forge Guard tree. We'll grab, again, the Steel Ages for the extra block nodes. We're going to be really focusing on getting a lot of percentile damage and more damage multipliers wherever you can, as most of the flat damage is already going to be covered from all the flat damage we're getting from reflect damage to attackers. Next, we'll grab the Thornmail node, as it does give us the more reflect damage. That's 24 flat in those 8 points, which is really good. Then we have Hammer and Anvil for a little bit of shred chance, help our crits hit even harder. Iron Reflexes is pretty big. It's going to give us a bunch of dexterity and reduce bonus damage taken from crits. The dexterity is going to also give us percentile damage for shield throw, and it's going to go into one of our future nodes here in a minute. We're going to grab Might, mainly for the 12% increased health. Percentile health in any spot is always really strong. We'll grab a little bit of the extra throwing attack critical strike chance, which is going to lead us into a Javelineer, which is going to give us a bunch of crit multi, but also give you base throwing crit chance based off of your dexterity. So that's going to be where the Iron Reflexes come in. And then we're going to be putting dexterity on quite a few pieces of gear just to get that base crit up really, really high. Next, we'll put a travel point to Flawless Defender and go over to Walls of Solarum. This is going to give us a less damage multiplier, and that's going to be even more if we're blocking a hit. And then one of our really big notes here is Shield Crafter. We're going to have a chance to cast our Ring of Shields whenever we block a hit, and it's going to give us a bunch more block effectiveness and increased minion health, which will apply to our Ring of Shields. So this way, even if Ring of Shields is on cooldown, we can still be generating those Ring of Shields when we're on single target bosses to get those ricochets going. As far as the Void Knight tree, we're just taking the 5 points into Abyssal Endurance. It'll give us a little bit of res and health, but mainly we want the 5-point bonus. That's going to give us more just percentile damage reduction for void and physical damage is really strong. For Paladin, you're going to want to at least get the 15 points in for the Symbols of Hope. So we're going to get that from taking Honor for the block chance and block effectiveness. Grab some Conviction for more percentile damage and a little bit of penetration. We'll grab 7 points into Valor. That will give us some endurance, which you do want to try to hit 60% endurance for that one-shot protection against big boss slams, and the extra health doesn't hurt. And then we'll throw out whatever remaining points we have into Force of Devotion. The flat damage is good, but mainly we're grabbing this for the Frailty chance and a little bit of armor shred. This will allow us not to have to do Frailty chance on our gear, which is going to make enemies do less damage to us, just giving us a little bit more damage reduction, and the shred obviously doesn't hurt. And then that's going to kind of wrap up the passives here and why we're grabbing everything. But if you guys have any other ideas or maybe some other nodes that you think might be a little bit better, make sure to let me know and we'll definitely consider all of our options there. Alrighty guys, that is going to wrap it up. I know it is a lot quicker than my normal build guides. I know a lot of you guys really like the in-depth stuff, but I want to try to get out, if I can, at least one of these every day or every other day. That way I can give you guys a lot of different options and something that you can build in the upcoming season. And of course, if you guys have any questions, make sure to let me know in the comments. If it is a build that you want to see me do a really in-depth guide on, then make sure you guys let me know so I know what is becoming the most popular with you guys, what you guys really want to see, so I know what I can focus on in the future. I'm still trying to decide what I want to play on season drop. We'll probably decide there in the last day or two, and then we'll make a very extensive guide on whatever build that's going to be. If there is any kind of race going on with Zizarin or any of the other content creators, I'll probably be participating in that, playing hardcore solo self-found and trying to race for that Uber kill, but we'll see what we have in store for us. I appreciate all of you guys hanging around. If you guys haven't already, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, and then come check me out live on Twitch at twitch.tv/pinchingloaf, and you guys can help influence some of the builds that we're making. Appreciate you guys. See ya.